Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all in that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hero of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
And to the rest of our audience, we'll continue with our discussion. May I just peace another blessing and about your presence is all.
About your presence as well. Now, before you go on, let me just say this here. If you want to be like Prophet Muhammad, because I said, oh Allah, bless me and have mercy on me and protect me. I don't want to be like Jonah, what I heard about Jonah. I didn't know Jonah, but I was talking to Allah about what I heard. Bless me to be patient. You know, make me steadfast and try me like you tried Job, but have mercy on me because I don't really know what I'm asking you for. See, I was imploring my Lord. I wasn't imploring my imagination, and I wasn't imploring no other man. Unless you're talking about the holy real mind, which is Allah. So I was imploring it to make me what I had heard about, if that was right, and if it was best for me, and if it was pleasing to it. Now, it has made me be Holy Apostle Dean Muslim Mujahid Rashad Salim. And it said that I have more than 55 more attributes. He said all my children and all their names contain attributes it has given me. I don't know all my own attributes. I don't know what I'm going to attribute to the world tomorrow. Because that's what an attribute is. It's what you attribute to the world, to life. But I am secure in the belief and faith that my Lord has formed me into the being that is pleasing to it. And I think that I have escaped being disobedient from in the way that they said Jonah was. He didn't want to do the work of Allah. Patient like Job was. You understand? Loving like Muhammad was, and being very staying in prayer like Muhammad. Pure in my trust and belief like a son of the righteous like Jesus was. A warrior who would stand up to even the government, people that is feared by the common men and even other jinn, but in trust to my Lord, stand before them and speak the truth, like Moses. Work and be raised in their belly, in their jobs, and then do service to people like I have under their rule at a high level like Joseph did. So, you know, I have had various things that I recognize of that the A.H.A.D has done with me that has a connection with what it had done with others. But that's not to say that I'm more special or that I'm nearer or I'm more loved by Allah. All it says is I find contentment in my Lord's guidance. I find trust in how it holds me and guide me and protect me in securing me for its work through me. That's all I'm saying. Now, with them doing that thing, wanting to be like Muhammad, they need to know that they need to go not to a scholar, not to me, not to their mommy, and not to their daddy. They need to go to Allah, the one that knows.
Well, we're called to not make the distinctions between the messengers. So to get into one to become more enraptured with one than another. Don't make any distinctions with it. By extension, though, we're not to make. We're talking about protecting the Quran in this show, and while we called in that not to make a distinction from the books, and if we have to, how do we approach that?
It's our duty to beg the Lord that we be right by it in our holding the Holy Quran, in our studying the Holy Quran, in our offering ourselves up to the opening that is produced by it in the words of the Holy Quran. The first chapter. It has a purpose, more so than just reading it every time you open the Quran. It has a greater purpose. And for those who come into knowing, they realize what that purpose is because they come into the opening of it where they're raised up in spirituality and they understand what that is. So for us, and the way for us to protect it is to beg Allah to make us right by it. If we beg Allah to make us right by it, and we put our heart and our minds with sincerity in our begging, and we try and we do the best we can to produce what we're asking for, being a good servant, even if you make a mistake, A.H.A.D will forgive you. In your mistake, A.H.A.D may even teach you, and then guide you aright and raise you to a higher degree, and protect you from hurting others by your error. The way we protect it is to give ourselves up to Allah and add nothing to it and take nothing away from it. Don't say, oh, well, this part don't work for me. Like people say, well, if a man could have 4 wives, why can't a woman have 4 husbands? I don't think that's right. No, it's wrong that you even let that flow through your mind. And first of all, Allah never said that a man was limited to 4 wives. Muhammad said, Allah said through Muhammad, if you take 2 or 3 or 4, then be right with them. It didn't say only take 2 or 3 or 4 is the limit. But see, in this world, the Satanists, the doers of evil, the advocates of the devil's set, they do everything they can to go against the divine laws. People have wrote up the Constitution against the divine laws, taking from the divine laws and breaking off the divine laws and orders and form their civil governments, the laws and orders of the civil governments throughout the world. And then they say, these laws and orders you gonna live by. Oh, we believe in God. In God we trust. But you gonna live by these civil laws. Don't tell me about your religious laws. Don't mix church and state. You did what? You have what? The Lord said you could do what? No, not in this city, not in this state. Lock them up.
Holy Apostle, you often tell us that when we read the Quran to not go into it with our own mindsets, but to beg Allah to give us His wisdom before reading. But and this is what I've experienced talking to people of different faiths too, like Christians, family members, friends. They don't really seem to believe that the events and the stories in these books are actually real, even with Muslims in the Quran.
Would you believe them? Would you believe the stories if the fish story get bigger and bigger? I mean,
But yeah, like with the Quran though, like it's like they don't relate to, like they feel like, oh, these stories and these lessons are for Muhammad and what his people went through at that time. They don't relate it to, like, as the Quran is still living today, like those same lessons and those same morals and things from A.H.A.D still are, applicable to today.
Well, see, I'll say in the words of the great many Muslims, Astaghfirullah. The Holy Quran, that the complete perfect book which is to be read by man was given to Adam. And all those that came since Adam's time. They just call it the Holy Quran in Arabic. But it's still that which is to be read and followed by man. That's what the Holy Quran means. That's what Quran means. Huh?
No, I was just going to say that, and a lot of religious leaders that stand before the congregation of people in Islam has led them to believe that. I know that whilst Muhammad had told his people that they didn't have to cover, that we was living in a new day.
And we
So,
wasn't in Mecca, so you don't have to worry about it. That's the holy city, not this place.
you know, so
You
I
remember
don't
that?
I don't understand. And he was considered a scholar, and I don't understand how
Of the
he
highest degree.
how he felt that covering from 500 years ago, 1500 years ago, all of a sudden came not necessary in this day and time, because he didn't understand.
Before you go-
Being a scholar, I believe that he missed the how can I say, Allah led him astray, and him thinking that it didn't apply because he did not understand the depth of covering.
Okay, before you go any further, what I want to say is, you said that from 1500 years ago, A.H.A.D in the name of our men had told us, the humanity, to cover like that long before Moses.
Oh yeah. Well, he told Adam and
way-
Eve.
Way back, hundreds of thousands of years ago. That's nothing new. That wasn't introduced by Prophet Muhammad. It was reintroduced. Muhammad represented Allah's commandments to his people, who were Semitic people, offspring of Abraham and Ishmael and
Hagar and Sarah.
You understand? He reintroduced what Allah, just like I'm reintroducing it. And he told them by Allah's command, pull your cloaks in this manner, so that you will be distinguished between the people of the book that came before you, the Jews, the Hebrews, the Christians, who were dressing like Muslims. What they consider Muslims at this time, dressing like that in over there in the East. And the people of the book, the Catholicists and what have you, the Christians, the jinn among them, their leaders, they know this is true. They know that people was commanded to cover. Mary covered like that. Why you think them nuns run around with what they call habits? Habits. Don't you know those are their dressed up, stylish headpieces? What they call the scarves?
Hijabs.
Kimaras.
In the
Kimars.
In Catholic Church, they even have Mary and most of the women with their hair covered.
Yes, but see how they had those things and they hard? That's just like going to a fair, going to a dance, going to the parade. You know, they dressed up and they kept them like that. That was like the Pope wearing his crown. They put that in their headpieces. And they look different. No, those are the same thing the Muslims and the old Jews and the old Christians was wearing before Mary's and Jesus' time. And Mary covered like a Muslim. Jesus and John and all them covered their body parts like Muslims. They didn't run around like brothers in Africa run around naked. You know? I mean, people just don't know that Islam, the path of the way, is the same path of the way that the Lord has always given humanity. They let the devil come and divide them up and turn them into Christians and Muslims and Jews and Buddhists and Taoists and so forth and so on. But when you go to the throne of A.H.A.D, it's not going to say, okay, you're a Buddhist, this, that. No, it's going to say you're a human being who is supposed to be following my commandments, my covenant, my agreement. Let's see how you fared. Let's see how you fared. Aisha said to me, it said, since your time, since you've made this announcement internationally, because I've reached out to this government, the Senate, the Congress, and the President of PASS, the various agencies of national security, like the FBI and CIA, and then, all the rest of them. I've reached out to people in China, Africa, Asia, different parts of Asia, in the Vatican City, and the Native Americans in North America and the United States and Canada. I've reached out, man, over the years, trying to get them to accept this message and let their people know that Allah has come down with the book of the seventh seal. This is the day of revelation. It said to me, you are that by which they will be judged. What I give to you, what I say through you, they will all be questioned about you, even if they have not ever heard of you. And I said, oh Allah, oh A.H.A.D, explain to me, if you will, why would they be questioned if they don't know, never heard of me? It said their leaders are responsible for whether or not they got the word about you or whether they was kept covered from the word about you. That's what it said to me. It says, my call did not just go out to nothingness. My call is going out to the people. That's why I still have me on public broadcast and internet radio or whatever my help is supposed to be doing for me to help me get this word out. Because everybody in the world is responsible. It don't matter if they accept it or not. What matters is when they go to the life hereafter, when they go to heaven to be judged, it's going to determine where they end up at. And they don't have to believe. I know some people in purgatory right now. I know some who's been blessed to go to heaven, and I know some, to paradise, and I know some who's been who's been cursed to go to hell. But see, my knowing don't enhance anybody else's knowing. It's just something I know, something the Lord's given me to experience and realization to have more surety about things it says to me. Just like I didn't have to ask it about why would they be judged, but in my curiosity as a lowly human being, I want to know. I wanted it to explain to me, and it told me. And I felt good about what it said.
Holy Father, I have a question about Ramadan. This is something that came up somebody asked my wife about, and she was asking me, and I wasn't really sure. I thought it was something that it was not something I never read in the Quran myself, but somebody asked her about, they heard that in Ramadan, on Fridays, so many prisoners are free from hell every Friday in Ramadan. Satan is locked away.
That's the new one for me.
And Ramadan, so whatever evil you do is from you and it's not from Satan's influence. He's locked away during Ramadan, all kinds of things like that. Right. And that's something I never read before. I'm wondering, is it from a hadith or something, or something people made up over time?
I've heard of the hadith about Satan being locked away during Ramadan. I've heard of that, yeah. Locked down.
Which hadith we talking about? Muhammad's best friend's hadith, who he's talking directly to, or those friends of the friends of the friends that was living down around the mountaintop that heard something, second hand, third hand, fourth, fifth hand, and came up with something else to make that story bigger.
But I know whether it was the trustworthy or the less trustworthy. They got all types of categories.
That's why A.H.A.D tells us, because of the blasphemy, because of the desecration of its words, its wisdom. That's why it tells us today to protect the Holy Quran, the authentic Holy Quran in Arabic, to protect it. And it says, I give you my new name in the most timely manner, because those who have followed and gone astray from the true path of Muhammad has desecrated my name and the thought of my name. And they have turned to being devils, advocates of the devil, and assisting the jinn in further desecrating my name while calling my name of Allah and dressing up in their costumes and parading around as though they are truly of the faithful and true believers. That's why we must protect the Holy Quran in its authenticity, and we must protect this new covenant that's been sent down, and we must honor the new name of the Lord of the throne and call on it, remember it, beg it, and recognize its presence as being El. The Almighty, Lord of the throne, who have allowed itself, or its supreme being that seats the Lord, that seats the throne as Lord, to be called by many names in representation of it. See, you know, this thing about our life, our practice, our religion, it goes so much more deeper than the cloth that we talk about these people putting on. Like, I want to be like Muhammad. How many brothers you hear say, I want to be like Muhammad, I want to be like Muhammad? You know, and they do all these things, but they don't go out to buy a camel. They ain't trying to live in no tent. They ain't putting no sand in their yards and putting a tent on it and tying a camel and got a well. And they don't plan on walking or traveling
Everywhere they gotta go.
where they gotta go in that condition. They say, stop for Allah. What they say? No inventions, no innovations, and what have you. Yet they in these new cars, airplanes, doing all these innovative things. Cell phones. Huh? So what are they? They're hypocrites, deceit artists, self-deceived. A.H.A.D said, you seek to deceive Allah and His messenger, yet you only deceive yourselves. And we have millions, maybe billions of them that's living in self-deceit. And now it got so bad that they don't care about walking around showing it, because they got so many of them like that they think they're right. And they think that there's power in numbers, when the greatest power is beyond any number. The true power is beyond any number. And I know people might be saying, well, how could that be? Well, El exists in the no-thingness of itself. And in the no-thingness of itself, there are no numbers. When it manifests, the number one comes forth. But it comes forth out of that no-thingness. So the great pure power is in that no-thingness. We can't explain it, but all we know is when it manifests, it shows us it's number one, and then it divides in units, pi to the whatever power.
Multiples of one. Many multiples of one.
But where's the greatest power? Because no matter how far you go in numbers of things, they're all contained in that one, and that one is contained in that no-thingness. Where it came from.
Well, it's profound. We talked about the billions of people. Amongst them, so many billions of common people, what we call common people, not the elite, not the scholars. But you said the way to approach Quran, and its protection, is to be simple, to be basically sincere to the Lord. It's for everyone.
The best way to approach the Quran is like what Jesus said. You must die and be reborn again. You must become like the babes, the infants. That's the way you approach the Quran. I know a lot of people don't understand that. But you have to give up everything you holding on to in terms of your understanding and your recognition, and open yourself up to be taught and to be spoken to by Allah. Never think in the moment that you possess the Quran, that you understand the Quran, that you have knowledge of what is being said, but know that the author, the owner, the power is the Quran itself. That's the reality of the Quran itself, and you can never possess it. Never go into the Holy Quran seeking to possess it, but go into it seeking to be possessed by the owner of it, the author of it, the power of it. Let it clothe you. Let it become of you and make you become of it. Like Muhammad.
You mentioned the Holy Quran, Lord. It's given to Adam. Is it accurate to say that the Holy Quran is the Torah? Is
When
the gospel?
when A.H.A.D said, in the name of Allah, that is the book, in it there is no doubt. Where the Muslims say, this is the book, in it there is no doubt. I don't care if they was talking about Moses' book, or any book that came before Muhammad's book, or Muhammad's book itself. The book that everything comes from is seated beneath the throne of the Lord Most High. The book of life and death and everything else. That's where it all comes from the one book that the Lord protects. So it don't matter. It has always came from the same one book. Therefore, it's the same story, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's the same essence. From the same mind. With the same power. And the power is the Lord itself, the reality itself, which moves it. We talk about having the power of prayer. You don't have no power of prayer. The power of prayer got you. You going trying to pray on the Lord. Huh? Like some dog praying on a cat, or lion praying on a elk or something. And then you try to change your meaning of prayer to something else other than what you're doing. Praying upon the Lord. Praying upon His wisdom. Let me get this wisdom so I could do this, so I could be this, that, and the other. I'm going to be a scholar. Praying upon the Lord. The devil gave you that. He's been saying to me, where that word come from? What is that word, pray? That word is not in my book. I say, praise Allah. Huh? Not pray upon Allah. There's a difference in those meanings. But we take the words of the devil, the doers of evil, and we make them words our highest words. And we talking about power in prayer. It's mercy in Allah, mercy in A.H.A.D that it sends down upon your being, rains upon your being, for the error you make, forgiveness for the errors you make. None of us is worthy of the things that A.H.A.D give us. No creature. We are all in debt to it. We're not due anything. It is due everything. All praise is due to A.H.A.D in all its names. May A.H.A.D's peace and blessings.
May A.H.A.D's peace and blessings be about your presence. With that, Lord, Holy Apostle, Holy Queen Mother, Brother Adam, to our audience, we're going to close our show, and please tune in again to the next time we go on an A.H.A.D.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. want to do things